Good evening. The Brecksville Broadview Heights Parent School Organization welcomes you to this special event to learn more about the 4 candidates running for 2 open seats on the BBH CSD School Board, with the election to be held next month on November 4th. The candidates are seated to the left of me: Mrs. Noelle Abumitri, Mrs. Adria Cantonese, Mr. Brad Chase, and Mrs. Tish Kwiatkowski. My name is Tom Sarfi, parent of 2019 and 2022 BBH graduates, and I'll be your moderator for this evening's event. Before we begin, I'd like to outline the logistics for tonight. This is a structured question and answer event. Parents, teachers, students, and community members were invited to submit questions ahead of time for the candidates. The PSO received more than 70 questions, and from those, 13 were selected, which represent the breadth of questions submitted. Each candidate will receive the same 13 questions. Candidates will have 30 seconds to respond to the first 3 questions, and then 1.5 minutes to respond to the 10 formal questions. They will also have a 1.5 minute introduction and then a 1.5 minute closing statement. We expect this event to last up to 2 hours, as we feel it is important that we include as many topics as possible and to hear from each of the candidates. Finally, we ask that our audience be respectful to the candidates that are speaking. If an individual or group is disruptive to any of the candidates, they'll be asked to leave. And before we begin our Q&A session, I'd like to open with some background about school boards in general. It's my belief that a strong, vibrant public school system is a cornerstone of a strong and vibrant community. School boards play a unique role in school district governance, providing a venue for communities to have democratic input into local education decisions. To effectively execute their responsibilities, school board members must clearly understand district governance and have a strong commitment to advancing student outcomes. Because the majority of school boards in the United States are elected, it is up to the voters to select the most informed and competent individuals to these roles. During school board elections, candidates must demonstrate their knowledge of both the conditions that allow boards to be effective and the special challenges facing their district. Choosing the best available candidates is essential to creating a leadership body that not only holds high expectations for the achievement of all students, but also understands how to strategically set goals and execute policies to reach that vision. And now, Mrs. Abumitri, as you are first alphabetically, we invite you to make your introduction. Thank you. And Mrs. Cantonese.
here in BBH. I have an industrial engineering degree. I held an MBA from Case Western Reserve University, and I have 35 years of business experience, mostly in management. I've held multiple positions where I managed over 100 people and a $200 million budget. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Chase.
Good evening. My name is Brad Chase, and I am running for a position on the Brecksville-Broadview Heights School Board. I'd first like to thank everybody for coming tonight and thank the PSO for holding this important event so that the community can get to know the candidates and help make an informed decision on the schools, which are so important to many of us. I come from a public school background. I'm a public school graduate myself. My mom, my grandmother, my cousins were all public school or are public school teachers. But I also have family that were school board members. My grandfather, my uncle served. And so when we would have family get-togethers, the talk was about education, about our schools, about what was going on. That's my foundation and how it started. I've since went on and became a lawyer, management consultant, and worked in strategy, operations, and finance, leading and managing teams around the world and also locally. That experience has led me into spending more time in the nonprofit and community sector, giving back of my talents to help drive important things forward. I want to protect what we've got here that is so exceptional. We moved, my wife and I and our 2 children moved here almost 10 years ago for the schools. And this school district has shown us really fantastic results and opportunities that we are very proud of. And I pledge to maintain that and improve on it while also paying attention to the fiscal realities that our district faces from the state and locally. Thank you.
Thanks. And Mrs. Kwiatkowski.
Hi, I'm Tish Kwiatkowski. I am a current Brecksville-Broadview Heights School Board member. I am seeking re-election for my 2nd term. I started in January of 2022, and I will conclude my 1st term here on December 31st of 2025. I am a 21-year proud resident of Brecksville. I will have 3 graduates from the school district. My son graduated with the class of 21. My middle daughter graduated the class of 22, and I have a current senior who is a proud member of the class of 26. My kids have experienced amazing opportunities from this district. They are thriving, and I want that to continue for all students. School boards really should bring value to a district. They must function as a team so that a positive culture is maintained and students thrive in every way. I am running to continue that thriving culture for all of our students. You should know that I have the background in education. I have a degree, a master's and a bachelor's degree in occupational therapy from Eastern Michigan University, and I also have a principal licensure certificate from Cleveland State University. I have spent the last 26 years in public education, working for the Akron Public Schools. I'm currently the program consultant for their autism programs, and I am a proud product of public schools myself.
Excellent. Thank you each for your opening statements. We'll now begin with 3 short answer questions for which the candidates will have 30 seconds to respond. Mrs. Catanese will provide the first response to question 1, and each subsequent question and answer will begin with the next candidate so that each has an opportunity to answer first. So for the first question, Mrs. Catanese, have you attended a school board meeting in the last year in person or virtually?
Yes, I have been attending pretty much all of them in the last year.
Mr. Bond, I think the microphones on the 2 to my left are not working properly.
It was a short answer. Is it not working?
If she could talk more into the microphone, that would be good.
The short answer is yes. I have been attending the school board meetings, and I learn something new every time I do attend them.
Okay. Mr. Chase?
I've been attending school board meetings since we moved here in 2016. I appreciate that the district, before COVID started to offer the district meetings online and available for busy parents. That was something I think was a real great thing to provide. In the past year, I've attended every meeting, either virtually or online, and probably for the last 5 years, I've attended every meeting virtually or online. Or in person.
Mrs. Kwiatkowski.
Yes, I've attended. Yes, obviously, I've been elected to attend and vote on our agenda items. I have been at every meeting in the last year except for June of 2025. That meeting was held the fourth Wednesday of the month in order to be able to close out our finances for Mr. Craig Yanaglas, our treasurer. So that meeting was, we typically hold meetings on the third Wednesday of every month, but June was held on the fourth month, and I was already planned to celebrate my 25th wedding anniversary in Hawaii. So I did miss that one meeting, but I've been there.
And Mrs. Abu-Mitri.
Yes, I have attended virtually over the years, and this year I have committed to attending in person. I believe it's important to stay engaged with conversations that shape our schools.
The next question will begin with Mr. Chase. Mr. Chase, prior to announcing your candidacy for school board, how were you engaged within the school district?
So I've been engaged with the schools since we moved to Brecksville Broadview Heights. I've been engaged with the PSOs in all of the buildings, starting in Hilton, continuing on at the new elementary school and at the middle school and the high school. I'm a volunteer with in the classroom for field trips. I've also been involved in many other activities with the sports programs at the middle school and the high school. I currently serve as a trustee on the Brecksville Broadview Heights Schools Foundation that helps to give grants to teachers and scholarships to students. And I've been involved with the Master Planning Committee and the Facility Planning Committee that went on in this district as we looked at a new elementary school and as we looked at the future of what's going on here.
Mrs. Kwiatkowski.
Yes, so prior to being on the school board, I was a member of all of the PSOs. I was a heavily involved athletic parent. I mean, I've had a football player, a volleyball player, track, cheerleading, gymnastics. So very involved with athletics. I will say that my time in the PSO, I was doing as much as I could to volunteer when I could. I was also building my career during that time and working full-time, so it was difficult for me to give as much time as I wanted, but I was always there for the Valentine's Day party. I could fit that into my schedule and would try as hard as I could to attend field trips and anything else that I could.
Mrs. Abu-Mitri.
My children have a combined 19 years of education in BBH, from Hilton to the new elementary school to the middle school. Since 2017, I've been volunteering in classrooms, lunchrooms, field trips, and sports programs, while also building relationships with administrators and local leaders to understand the needs of both our schools and the community.
And Mrs. Catanese.
I've been to a lot of football games. My daughter is in the marching band. I had two daughters, one who graduated in 2021 and one who is currently a senior. So I spent a lot of time doing that when the kids were younger, certainly volunteering for field trips, going in to do class parties, and unfortunately when they get big, you don't get to do fun stuff like that. So I do work full time, and I am a single mom, so some of my time has been a little bit limited when it comes to that stuff, but I would try to come into the classroom as much as I could.
Thank you. The last of our short answer questions will begin with Mrs. Kwiatkowski. What community endorsements have you received, and what organizations are supporting your campaign?
So I have to tell you, the first time that I ran, I sought no endorsements. I felt very strongly that, and this could be poor political strategy, and I guess that's kind of the problem. I don't view school board as political at all, and I never have. This is about our kids and their education. So I didn't seek any the first time around. I did this time because I have a record. I have been a school board member now, so it's out there for everyone to see. I am endorsed by the Brecksville Broadview Heights Education Association, and I am endorsed by Daryl Kingston, Mayor of Brecksville.
Mrs. Abu-Mitri. No. Mike, please.
No? Okay, I think we're good. I am proud to have the endorsements of Cameo, the Cleveland American Middle Eastern Organization, former Mayor Ruby of Brecksville, Councilman Joe Price from Broadview Heights, the Ohio Young Republicans, and the Broadview Heights Republicans. But just as important are the endorsements that come from parents and taxpayers across our community. Their trust matters most because they are the ones invested in the future of BBH schools.
Mrs. Catanese.
I am proud to have the endorsement of Mayor Sam Alai, Ava O'Mara, and Ellen Kramer, current board members, Stella Skaljak and Neil Brashear, two community members, the AFL-CIO, and the BEA Teachers Union.
And Mr. Chase.
So I've sought only one endorsement, and that is from the teachers, and I received the endorsement of the Brecksville Broadview Heights Education Association. I'm very proud of that. I think the teachers are the backbone of our schools. I don't want to bring politics or politicization into our buildings or onto our board, so I've purposely, although I've met with elected leaders in both cities, I have not sought additional political endorsements. There are a number of community members that have come forward, including the current and former board members and involved members of the community that have put out support for me, which I appreciate, but which was not sought. And I'm also not taking any external money. I'm funding this campaign myself, and so I will be fully accountable for it. Thank you.
Thank you all. All right, we will continue with the formal questions for which each candidate will have 1.5 minutes to respond this time. And we'll start off with Mrs. Abu-Mitri. Question 4, what are the 3 overall areas that you feel the school board should prioritize?
Brecksville Broadview Heights is one of the strongest districts in Ohio. Families move here for the opportunities our schools provide, and my family has experienced those strengths firsthand, with 4 children and 19 years of combined education in BBH. But excellence isn't guaranteed. It must be safeguarded and strengthened. My priorities are clear. First, academic excellence. Keep classrooms focused on core subjects, support teachers with the resources they need, and close learning gaps so every student can thrive. Second, fiscal transparency. Our administration has taken steps to manage resources responsibly and plan for the future, from stabilizing levies to protecting classrooms. I want to build on that progress by making financial conversations clear and approachable, so families feel informed, confident, and invested in the direction of our schools. Third, strengthening connections. Parents, teachers, and administrators already give so much. My focus is on building even stronger bridges, so every voice is valued and our students gain the most from that unity. With over 20 years of business experience and nearly 2 decades rooted in BBH, as a graduate, resident, and parent, I bring both the skills and the perspective to protect our excellence and strengthen our future.
Ms. Catanese.
I think the first area is really creating an environment that readies our kids for their next adventure, whether it's college, trade school, the military, or the workforce. We need to ensure they are learning problem-solving skills and the ability to function as positive team members. Every single one of us needs critical thinking and problem-solving skills regardless of the path that we choose. The second thing is we need to ensure that each child is safe physically and emotionally and supported inside the walls of our schools. We need to ensure that our teachers' needs are met with regard to safety, professional development, continuing education, and that they have what they need to run their classrooms. Job satisfaction and emotional well-being are important, and we need to provide resources to all students and staff members. And then third, which I'm assuming everybody will have, would be fiscal responsibility, right? So we are in charge of public funds, your funds, our funds, and we need to make sure that we are making the best decision, using the resources the best way that we can.
Mr. Chase?
So the first priority would be to protect what we've built already. We have a proud heritage here of academic excellence and achievement and having great opportunities for all of our students. That's something that I think is really non-negotiable. It's something that the community expects. I think the board needs to be focused on that and to make sure that we're holding our leaders in the district accountable to deliver those results for all of our students. Secondly, is to juxtapose that against being fiscally responsible. The managing our budget responsibly is a real challenge for our district with the trends that are going on in our state and with the pressures that are being put on our district from increasing costs. This is something when we're using taxpayer dollars and building and trust with the taxpayers. This is very important to me, and I think the board has done a good job of being transparent with this and beginning to talk more and more about the finances, where our money comes from, how we're spending the money responsibly, and we need to remain focused on that. Finally, we need to remain focused and stay focused in the areas that are relevant for our students, and this is ever changing. So this is about student emotional health. This is about career and college readiness, and there are all these new technologies and things that are changing. We need to, as a district, make sure that we're in front of this and following this and making sure that these opportunities are available in our schools and so that our graduates are prepared to go forward and be successful in whatever their future endeavors might entail.
And Mrs. Kwiatkowski.
Well, I'm going to start with school funding. As far as the priorities go, school funding is going to become the most glaring priority that we have, and I think that will continue in the next 4 years. The state continues to decrease funding to our schools. It's at its lowest that it's been in years, and it is slated to go lower. We only get about 17% of our funds from the state. The taxpayers are funding everything else. And as that continues to decrease, we're going to have to keep coming to the voters to keep operational. So school funding is going to be the #1 priority. We have to continue to communicate with you about that, be transparent, and engage you to help us and to move forward in that area and manage well in that area. We have to be fiscally disciplined. Second is always going to be maintaining our excellence, achievement for all students. I am very proud of how far we've come in special education since I joined the board. We had a lot of very unhappy families at one point. We were conducting audits. We have come away from that. Our special education students are making great progress along with all of our other students. Achievement for all and instructional opportunities for all has to be the continued priority, and then just continuing to improve in both big and small ways. We will always be a district of continuing to refine processes and continuing to improve where needed.
Thank you all. Continuing on with the next question, Ms. Catanese, we're going to start with you. How would you describe a healthy relationship between a school board member who is elected and the district leadership who are the employees?
First, I think it's important to understand the roles. So I've had people ask me, what does a school board member actually do? So I think, when you talk about setting policy and, statutory requirements, there's all kinds of things that a school board member does. What they don't do is run the day-to-day operations. So I think we need to be clear that school board members are not going to get into the day-to-day, and I think that will make the treasurer and the superintendent probably a little happier. So once we understand that, the way I view it is if it's sort of a manager-employee relationship, it's really about how you treat people, right? So how do you set the expectations? How do you set the priorities? And how do you work with them collaboratively to achieve those? So I don't believe in contention. I believe in being very collaborative. It is actually what I do for a living. I get cross-functional groups together and I facilitate problems. I do problem solving. So I would take that same skill set and I would set that with the board and with the treasurer and the superintendent. And I think it's important that, you know, again, you have respectful debate and respectful conversation, and it's never contentious. You can always come to a good compromise, and it never has to go that bad.
Mr. Chase?
So at a high level, as a board member, the way I would approach this is to enable the leadership of the district. I think the board plays an important role in setting the direction, in ensuring that the mission and the vision and the policies of the district are met. And I agree that a board member should not be, and although my background is in operations, not be involved in the day-to-day running of the district. I think how we do that is we get, the board as a whole can get problems out of the way of the district leadership to make sure that the district leadership is able to stay focused and remain focused on delivering the results that the community expects. And the board is also a great sounding board in the community that can take in the concerns, but not necessarily act on them, but as a pulse of what's going on and if the success of the district leadership and the employees are actually resonating through the community or if there are concerns. Going forward, that's something that I think the board has done a better job at in terms of recognizing what their role is and how they interact with the community and how they interact with their employees. And I would pledge that I would continue that collaborative approach. I think it's okay to not have groupthink and that you should be able to disagree and you should have challenging discussions about the future of our district, but they should always be respectful. And my approach is always to start working toward a collaboration to achieve the final result that we can be proud of.
Mrs. Kwiatkowski?
So I think a few have already touched on this, but one of the roles of a school board member, and there are 6 really essential roles and functions that you play, but one is to direct the superintendent and the treasurer. So that is a role that you play, but it's also really important that there's a term, let me back up, there's a term in education called collective teacher efficacy. And so if there's any teachers in the room, they might groan at this or they might cheer. But what it really means is everybody's rowing in the same direction, right? You've got the same vision, the same mission, and the same goals. And that's really what, as a board member, you're doing with your superintendent and your treasurer is establishing collective efficacy. You are collaborative and you need to work together in order for things to move forward and progress in the district. And that is what really the healthy relationship is understanding that you can have mutual respect and collaborate together. My first 4 years on the board, when I first started, there was a very hierarchical model in place where the board only really interacted with the superintendent and the treasurer. Since we've brought Mr. Harrison on board, he has opened up our roles as board members and allows us to have discourse and conversation with administrators in the building, furthering that collaborative, collective approach that we have. And it has really, I think, moved us even up another notch. So that's really what I see as a healthy relationship. We have it here in the district.
And Mrs. Abu-Mitri?
The role of school board is governance, not day-to-day management. That means setting policy, hiring and evaluating superintendent and treasurer, approving budgets, and ensuring accountability. The board is also the liaison between the schools and the community, making sure decisions are transparent, communicated clearly, and reflect our district's priorities. BBH is already one of the strongest districts in Ohio. We've earned 5-star ratings across the state report card, and our high school is ranked top 20 statewide. But this excellence isn't guaranteed. It requires steady leadership, consistent follow-through, and a board that supports staff with clear direction while holding them accountable to the goals that we set as a district. I know what it takes to manage resources wisely and hold people accountable. but I also know what it feels like to sit in the stands, volunteer in classrooms, and want the very best for the children and families we serve. For me, the board's role is to turn our district's vision into results, not just on paper, but in classrooms, on fields, and in the lives of our students, while ensuring families and our community are kept in the loop and a part of the process.
Thank you. And we're going to start the next question with Mr. Chase. How will you handle disagreements with other school board members, and how do you work productively with peers with whom you disagree?
So as a trained lawyer, I'm familiar with approaches to conflict, and oftentimes they can be contentious. It's an approach that I don't prefer, and it's an approach that I have not used in my professional experience. I have looked to reach common goals, respect, build trust with the people that I've worked with, and with fellow board members in the future. I think doing this allows us to build a platform where we're able to disagree and able to have productive conversations and challenge each other. I think that's an important part of representing the community, that there should be difficult discussions and that there might not be consensus on everything that the school board is moving forward with. But I think it's how we do that. It's the decorum, it's the professionalism, it's the respect and the trust that we're building with the community, but amongst ourselves as a board. That tells a lot about how we can actually achieve the results that the community is expecting of us. And also is something we can be proud of as ourselves, for doing. I've had a chance to be involved in these activities, and I found that really building that collaborative approach, really listening, and that's what I've spent a lot of my career doing, is listening to others. I'm often the quietest person at the table, internalizing what others are saying to help understand what their position is, why they feel the way they do, and how we can reach common ground together and move forward. And I would pledge to continue that as a board member.
Mrs. Kwiatkowski.
I really appreciate this question, so thank you to the PSO and to our community members who have put these forward. I have to start out with saying I am very proud to serve on our Board of Education. I am proud to work with the other 4 members that I do. We have a great working relationship and mutual respect for each other, and I think the thing that's important for everyone to know is that we do not always agree. If you watch a board meeting, we all ask our own questions. That's what we are elected to do, is to look at the issues of the district from our own perspective, gather our own information, reach out to the community, and bring that to the board meeting. We don't always agree on everything, but we do align and respect each other. We challenge each other. We have that respectful discourse. And we have decided that our norm is we will be student-centered and how we solve problems. And I think that that's what you absolutely have to do as a board member. And I will continue to be that respectful, collaborative member on this board, working with the other members. And it has just been a true honor. So I want to say that to anyone else. I see a couple of you that are out there.
Mrs. Abu-Mitri.
Disagreement is a part of any healthy board. Our role is not to all think the same, but to make sure the district's vision translates into results for students and for families. For me, that means approaching disagreements with respect, listening first, and keeping the focus on outcomes that matter, strong academics, sound finances, and trust in the community.
And Ms. Cantonese.
I've spent 35 years working in manufacturing amongst a very diverse group of people. I've worked on the shop floor, implementing improvements with associates, and I've worked with director level individuals and everybody else in between. Every time we've been able to collaborate and work alongside each other professionally and respectfully. So for me, it's really about listening to the other side, really understanding where they're coming from, and then hopefully they'll be doing the same for you. But it's important that you are respectful. It's important that you listen. Communication is huge. I believe that just being able to come to common ground sometimes when I've had difficult people, I've said, okay, we're going to take a pause, we're going to sort of table that for a moment, and then we're going to come back to it. And we did that, and we were able to kind of come to a solution. So I think things like that, where just you take a breath, and then you kind of come back at it. The other thing is I find that when you learn something personal about someone, and you kind of understand where they're coming from, it's a lot easier to come to common ground.
Thank you. The next question. The school district unveiled its 3-year strategic plan in October 2024. What are the pros and cons of the plan in your opinion? And we'll start with Mrs. Kwiatkowski.
Okay, so the strategic plan, when you talk about pros and cons, I'm probably going to hit more of the pros because there really aren't cons. The strategic plan is a living document. It will evolve. It was put forth by our superintendent based on feedback that he got from our community. So this strategic plan that we have was built by us. It was built by the stakeholders of the district. And that is probably its biggest pro. So when you look at the strategic plan, you look at our goals, you look at our vision, our mission, what is important to us, and what attributes we want our students to have when they leave us and while they're with us, that all came from us. That's what we want for our kids and what we want from the district. So that is a huge pro. It was developed with community feedback. It is a living document. It will evolve, and it communicates our values. I think, the big thing that we need to focus on is that we don't put it on a shelf. If you've ever heard Mr. Harrison talk about it, he's never wanted the strategic plan that was developed to sit on a shelf. We just did all this work around it, and we're going to put it away and not ever touch it again. It remains something that was high touch in the district. We're living it all the time. So the con is we have to protect it, and we have to make sure we're doing everything we can to enact it to meet our goals.
Mrs. Abu-Mitri.
The strategic plan sets a bold vision. BBH has already earned a 5-star rating, and we are recognized as one of the strongest districts in Ohio. That's something to be proud of, but it's not the finish line. The real challenge now is sustaining the excellence in ways families can feel every day, making sure classrooms have the resources they need, keeping families engaged through clear, approachable communication, and managing finances responsibly so that students are protected without overburdening taxpayers. Excellence isn't just about rankings. Families come to BBH because of the strength of our schools, and the true measure of success is whether every student feels supported. Every classroom is equipped to succeed, and our schools remain deeply connected to our community. We already have a roadmap in place. The role of the board is to make sure that that plan translates into lasting results, aligning resources with classrooms, keeping communication plain and accessible, and ensuring decisions always reflect the values of families and our community. That's how we not only preserve excellence, but strengthen it for the future.
Ms. Catanese.
When I look at the strategic plan, the first point is being the top 5 school district in the state of Ohio, which I think is an awesome thing to strive for. We're currently 22nd on our 2025 report card, but that's out of about 607 school districts, which is amazing. So I think it's good to have that vision. It's good to have something to go for and to strive for. The second point is having students in pre-K and 12 in the district have access to resources, staffing, and instructional practices. When I look at things at the elementary school, what I need, which is basically a way for them to get kids extra help, to build extra time into the day to help them where they need to. Developing and maintaining community collaboration and communication. I would think that most of you are getting all kinds of communication, and maybe some of you are going, that's a lot of communication, but I would so much rather have it that way than not knowing what's going on in our schools. I know when my oldest was younger, there were days when I was not really sure where they were supposed to be, and I think the communication is so much more improved. Recognizing that public finance is a key. Again, fiscal responsibility, we've talked about that as part of the strategic plan, and then providing exceptional school facilities. So I don't find a con really in any of those. When we talk about exceptional school facilities, I know we're going to talk a little bit about the master plan. One of the cons could be cost of this. Thank you.
And Mr. Chase.
So I'm a big supporter of the strategic planning process. I think that the best run organizations have strategic plans and have alignment and understand where they want to go and how they're going to achieve it. This plan was brought to the community over a year ago. Took community input from our district leaders, input from our teachers, and has worked together now to put five items that are ambitious and bold and holding ourselves as a district accountable to make sure that we're moving toward that. We've done a lot of great things. We have high ratings in a number of areas. We've got excellent outcomes for many of our students, but there's more that we can do. This plan helps align us to make sure as a district we're working together on these 5 areas. I think in some of them we've made impressive progress in just 1 year. The amount of communication that comes out of the district, for instance, and the way that we're talking about finances in a way that has not happened since I've lived in the district, I think is a real good first start to 2 of those areas of the strategic plan. I think the other 3, they're bold and they're ambitious, and we're going to have to work on them with the financing that we've got and the limitations that we have. I think we can get there. I'm proud of the achievement we've had. These state rankings and things that go, we're still one of the top districts in the entire state of Ohio, which is something to be proud of. But we have to continue to push ourselves. We can't, just because we were good last year or we've done a good job in the years past, there's no guarantee that that continues without everybody in our district being aligned and focused on our students and focused on their outcomes and their success. And that takes everyone, and it's a big job.
Thank you. For the next question, we'll turn to Mrs. Abumitri for the first response. With public education facing so much funding uncertainty, what would be your top 3 budget priorities for our school district? And part 2 to that question, how would you ensure our spending reflects those priorities?
A budget is more than numbers. It's a reflection of priorities. For me, that means classrooms come first. Teachers, curriculum, student support, and safety must always be at the center. I've had ongoing collaboration with Treasurer Craig Yanaglos, and I appreciate the way he approaches his work. He ensures our finances are stable and forward-looking. My own background, 2 decades of business operations, logistics, and accountability. This allows me to engage in those conversations as a partner, asking the right questions and focusing on both precision and big picture planning. Where I see my strength on the board is in helping translate that financial stewardship into clarity for the community. Families and stakeholders deserve more than reports. They deserve to understand the story behind the numbers in plain language that they can trust. So my budget priorities are clear. Protect classrooms, reinforce strong stewardship already in place, and use my skills in communication and accountability to make sure every dollar tells the stories families can trust. Thank you.
Ms. Catanese?
As far as the budget, a lot of our budget is salaries and benefits, facilities maintenance. So one of the categories would be facilities maintenance. We have some schools that are a little bit older, so we would look to see if there's some other kind of way to maintain them. Are there other companies that we can get competitive bids from, things like that. Curriculum spend, we spent $1 million last year, and there's about $250,000 this year. So obviously we need to maintain our curriculum. We need to spend that money. Are there opportunities for some cost savings there? And then third, in general, just maybe try to deep dive into some spending for opportunities, things like paper, services. Can we maybe join up with other school districts for additional buying power? And then as far as making sure our spending reflects those priorities. We would absolutely forecast those, build those into the budget, and then every month we would be following those to make sure that we are spending what we had budgeted and forecasted.
Mr. Chase.
Yeah, so 87% approximately of our budget is teachers' salaries and benefits. I mean, they're the backbone of our district, and they're the largest chunk of our budget year after year. And they are the important reason that we are seeing the success that we do in our schools. We've got a great district that has great teachers, great parents, and we're working together to have great outcomes for our children. The teachers and programming that we can provide directly affect class sizes, the number of AP classes or career readiness classes that are available at the high school, the amounts of educators that we have in our classrooms that are addressing gaps, right? The second area that I think we can really focus on is how we look at our report card. Our report card is great. We're a 5-star district, and we're one of the few that's done that year after year now, and that's something to be proud of. It takes a lot to get there, and as you dig into those report cards for our district and others, you can really start to see maybe some trends or see gaps and see areas where we can improve. So although we're doing a lot of great things, we want to make sure that things that are identified don't become a bigger problem as kids go from a 3rd grade to 4th grade and then eventually end up in middle school. We've got to get in front of these items, and that's an area that probably will take budget and probably will take finances and a focus of our district, and we can't just hope that that's going to change. And so I would like to see us really focus into that area. And finally, the rest is everything else, right? We need to communicate better. We communicate a lot. We get a lot of emails. There's a lot of posts on social media. There's a lot of stuff going on. But in terms of the finances and in terms of what's going on in our district, we have to improve our communications and make sure that they're as effective as possible and really focused. Thank you.
The final response to this question will come from Mrs. Kwiatkowski.
Yeah, so I guess I haven't spent any time really talking about, our achievement as a district. Being on the board for the last 4 years, we've been a 5-star district every year that I've been on. I think we've been the highest star rating every year that my kids have attended. So I probably take it for granted, and that's kind of a crazy thing, right? We all do. We know that we are so high performing. So when it comes to priorities and the uncertainty of the funding, we have to maintain the priority of the excellence of the district and making sure that rigorous instruction is still being provided for our students. And with that rigorous instruction is the extension of the classroom, which are student opportunities through extra and co-curriculars. And so that priority for us is I would not want to see anything cut. I hope Mr. Yanaglas isn't freaking out about that right now. Because that rigorous instruction and that extension of the classroom with extra co-curriculars are so, so important. So that's got to be the #1 priority. Keep the teachers that are providing the instruction, the coaches, the robust extracurriculars that we have, maintain that. We have to continue to operate at that level. And then, I don't know that this is 2 and 3, but it is everything else. I will tell you that Mr. Yanaglas, I've never seen anybody that will look at every contract for a piece of paper, a pen, or a pencil and try to find the lowest dollar amount that we can. Looking at the lowest dollar amount for purchase services, we have to continue to drive that and really keep the dollars where they're needed for our kids.
And for the next question, Ms. Catanese will provide the first response. Ms. Catanese, given the possible need for an operating levy in the near future, how would you engage and build support among school district employees in the BBH community?
The last levy we passed was in 2017, so we're potentially looking to put a levy out for 2027. That's 10 years, which I think is impressive. I think educating the community as far as what has happened with state funding, with property taxes, the shift off of businesses and onto homeowners and farmers has been significant. So businesses used to be at 56%, and now they're, I don't remember the number, but something so far down the road of 30% or something. So the point is, through tax changes and everything else, that has shifted the burden onto us. So I think people need to understand why property taxes are expensive, why we have to come back to the community. So it's really about communication, it's about education, and it's really advocating for our schools. 72% of our revenue stream is from property taxes alone. As I think Brad had mentioned, we only get about 17% of the state because of our communities considered affluent, right? So based on the state funding, we don't get as much as maybe some of the rural schools. So it's going to be important that people really understand why we're going back to the polls and making sure that we educate and communicate.
Mr. Chase?
So as a district and a community, we've passed 7 levies in a row, which is impressive, going back to 2011. If you look at the trends of those, the ones in 2014, 2015 were passed by wide margins. The most recent operating levy that we passed in 2017 was passed by about 200 votes. We passed a bond issue the next year to support the new school construction, among other improvements on our campuses, and that was also passed by a small margin. So we've got a lot of work to do in the community. It's impressive that we've gone this far on a 2017 levy. That speaks well to how the finances are being managed in terms of how we're looking at dealing with decreased funding and limited funding. It's not common to see that for that long. We will need a levy cycle, I expect, based on the 5-year forecasts that have been put out there at some point in the future. To get that level of buy-in from our community, we've got to educate, and I think the district started to do that, to do a good job. School finance is complicated. It's not something that everybody's interested in. We're in an environment right now where taxes are front and center for a lot of people, especially the main tax that funds our school, the property tax. It's something as a board and as a community we need to get in front of to make sure that we understand that more than 70% of our funding comes from our local residents in our community. That's unique in a way because of the way our district is structured with property values and incomes. The expectation is there is a partnership with the state, but in these types of districts, it shifts to the local support. So we have control over that, but we have to do a good job of showing the case, showing the trust, showing what we've achieved with what the community has given us before, and really build that campaign to get support, broad support in our community.
Mrs. Kwiatkowski.
Okay, so we are deficit spending, Artie. If you watch a board meeting, you will hear our treasury report, every month on where we're at. We are deficit spending. We have been. We are doing everything we can to extend our levy cycle, looking at it in every which way that we can so that we are not coming to the community until it is really needed. And that is looking to be about 2027, hopefully 2028. But we have gotten 10 years out of this levy, and that is really, truly amazing. When you look at other districts, are not getting 10 years out of a levy, and we are managing fiscally really, really well. But we are going to need one, and in the next 4 years, we will probably be going out for that levy. I'm kind of reiterating what everyone else said. It's going to be about communicating our value. This district is a choice for many in the community. Many are proud to have their students here and want them to continue and to have all the opportunities available to them. We have to communicate the value. We have to talk about the financial situation we are in. We have to talk about the school funding situation from the state so that everyone understands what is happening. And I will do whatever is needed as a board member when it comes levy time to provide that communication and rally the community to pass a levy. I do understand that not everyone has there is not an appetite. Our taxes are going up. There is not an appetite to provide more money to the schools or for property taxes, but it is going to be needed. We just need to go about it the right way.
Mrs. Abu-Mitri.
Our schools are one of the greatest strengths of this community, and keeping them strong takes shared responsibility. Levies are a part of that, but they have to be done in a way that builds trust and respects everyone. Our district's annual operating budget is just over $50 million, with the vast majority going directly to classrooms and benefits for teachers and staff. We're also nearing the end of a current levy cycle, which makes it even more important to communicate clearly how every dollar supports classrooms and long-term stability. This is a community families strive to be a part of, and it's a privilege we don't take lightly. That shared commitment is what makes our schools strong, and it's why every decision has to honor both the families raising children here and residents on fixed incomes who have supported this district for decades. That's why I believe in smarter approaches, levy structures that are clear, predictable, and rooted in accountability. The community deserves regular checkpoints, not blank checks. Every decision should keep classrooms protected, families respected, and taxpayers confident that their investment is delivering value. My commitment is simple: excellence for students, transparency for the community, and every dollar working as hard as the people who earn it.
Mr. Chase, you'll start this next question with your response. What can you do as a school board member in the school funding process?
So the board plays an important role in the school funding process. First of all, like we mentioned in the previous question, in our district specifically, most of that funding, almost 75%, is coming from our local taxpayers. So first and foremost, the focus in our community has to be on building that support with taxpayers to show the value, to show the responsibility, the accountability, and the outcomes that we're achieving for the dollars that the community is entrusting with the district. There's 17% of our budget roughly comes from the state. The state funding, since going back 30, 40 years now, has been going in one direction, and that's lower and lower and lower. Our district, although we don't get the majority or even close to half or anything that high from state funding, still get a significant chunk, and that amount has decreased over time, and it's hurt other districts even more. As a board, I know the current board has joined a lawsuit around school funding to help join with other districts, not as a lead plaintiff, and that's something that is trying to overturn how schools are funded going forward. I think that's something that is good in this case. I'm cautious with our board taking that route and taking a legal route on everything that we would do. I think what we've seen is a real hope that we can talk with our state legislators and explain the importance of public education, but also finding that sometimes people don't want to hear from school board members. They don't want to hear necessarily about this topic, so it's an uphill battle. We can continue to show what we're delivering. I'm proud of the results that this district has had, despite declining state funding. We've done a great job, and we need to continue to communicate and build that trust and be accountable for what we've done, and hopefully build more support.
Mrs. Kwiatkowski.
So, as a school board member, what can we do, right now and in the future? It is going to be about maintaining our fiscal discipline with the dollars that we do have. You've heard the other candidates talk about, how much we rely heavily on property taxes. We rely on your dollars to operate the school district and provide the kids with this amazing education that they're getting. So we have to be dialed in at every dollar with how we're spending that money. We have to talk to legislators. As Mr. Chase just said, they're not really open to hearing from us. So I know that Mr. Harrison has reached out to the community. Mr. Yanaglos, we are talking to you about school funding pretty much constantly now. And the community push will help us. So I'm asking the community for engagement and reaching out to our legislators to let them know how important and valuable our public school system is and to fund it. I did vote to join the school voucher lawsuit. I will tell you that that was a very hard decision for me for a long time, because I do very much I understand the huge responsibility I have in spending that taxpayer dollar, and I don't want to spend it unless we absolutely have to. And it just came to a point where we have to stand up and say, enough is enough, state, you need to fund us. So those are some of the things that we can do as board members.
Mrs. Abu-Mitri.
I think the answer to that is working relationships. Strong schools are built on strong relationships within the district and across the community. Over the past year, I've built meaningful connections with our administrators, our mayors, city council members, as well as legislators from Columbus to DC, who shape the laws and funding that affect BBH. Those conversations have given me perspective on both the opportunities and the challenges that districts like ours face. They've also allowed me to share BBH's story and bring our perspective forward to those discussions. I also believe strongly in parent choice. Families must have the freedom to make the best decisions for their children, but that can never come at the expense of strong public schools. My commitment is to ensure BBH remains excellent and sustainable by working with local leaders and state policymakers to advocate for fair, balanced solutions that support families while protecting the strength of our schools. For me, this is what leadership looks like: listening first, bringing ideas and nuance to the table, and working towards solutions that reflect both fiscal responsibility and the needs of our families.
And Ms. Catanese.
As a school board member, we need to advocate, we need to educate, and we need to communicate. So let me give you just kind of a quickie here. Rising home values, slow economic growth, and 20 years of tax policy changes have intensified local school funding challenges. Homeowners and farmers now carry 67.5% of school property taxes, up from 46% in 1975. The business share has been cut nearly in half. Cuts and eliminations of state taxes have reduced state support, forcing schools to raise property taxes. That's from the Ohio Educational Policy Institute. So when people maybe think that schools aren't being fiscally responsible, there really is, the schools are not to blame. There really is a lot of stuff that's going on in the state level and the policy. And I think that educating the community and the people who are paying the property taxes as we advocate and we educate, I think that's going to be very critical. When we decided to join the lawsuit, I was very happy about that. I think that if you look at how Ohio is funding, that lawsuit was won. So the judge sided with the lawsuit. The state's going to appeal it, of course, but it's unconstitutional how they're funding those schools. So I think also for the community, you need to call your legislators relentlessly. Call, email, call, email. It's going to take all of us to do that.
Thank you. The first response to the next question will come from Mrs. Kwiatkowski. Mrs. Kwiatkowski, what are the pros and cons of the district's campus master plan? And do you agree with the priorities as the plan currently stands?
So this is another pro and con, right, question. So really, the campus master plan, to me, is a big pro. We've never had something like this before. And so I know that there are a lot of people that fear that this campus master plan, we're coming for money, we're going to do this. That's not what the campus master plan is, and that's not why it was developed. It's just a proactive, long-range plan for our campus. And I am one, and if you've watched me as a board member, I am all about being proactive instead of reactive. It is, you know, if we were to ever move forward with it, that is going to come from the community if there is support. If we do our due diligence and look at what we really need to do next on the campus master plan, that will be the community's decision. But it is a pro to have this plan for what could be done with our campus. It solves a lot of problems that the campus has. It improves safety. It improves traffic flow. I know that anyone that's driven up here in the morning knows that we have traffic flow issues. It solves problems with some of our athletic programs, of which we have a very robust athletic offerings. It's going to improve academics if we improve the middle school. And overall, it's going to give the district an identity. I mean, how many of you have driven up here and been like, you know? If you go on to another school, it's not about competing with other schools. It's just about having something nice, right? But if we don't have an appetite for it now, we don't. It's just a plan. And we have already completed the first phase of it, which was the demolition of Hilton. And we will be completing the second phase. We're going to get that other entrance off of Mill Road. And then, you know, we'll see from there, right? We'll need to do our due diligence around all of those things.
Mrs. Abu-Mitri.
As a graduate of Brecksville Broadview Heights, the campus master plan is one of those things that I see as a positive. But with that being said, the campus master plan should move forward in phases. Safety first, and with clear communication, families can actually follow. That means starting with the pieces families feel every day. Circulation, traffic flow, drop-offs, pedestrian safety, before we move to high-use student spaces. Each phase needs to come with its own scope, timeline, and funding plan so the community knows exactly what's being delivered and why. And we have a model for how to do this responsibly. When the district built the new elementary on Oaks Road, it was funded through the 2018 bond, which didn't add on new taxes, but smartly extended an existing bond that was set to expire. That project gave us a modern school without added burden. And it shows what careful sequencing and transparent planning can accomplish. That's the same approach I'll insist on with the master plan: smart, small steps, safety first, priorities, and respect for taxpayers every step of the way.
Ms. Catanese.
When I first looked at the master plan, honestly, I loved it. I loved that we had a vision, that we had a true north that we were going for, and that the community was involved in that. So for me, really, a lot of it really is pros. There's a lot of safety issues that it addresses. Traffic definitely needs to be addressed. We had, you know, the demolition of Hilton, which was an aging school. So I think all of that is good. It will be up to the community whether we move forward or not. So it is in phases. We can choose a la carte. We don't have to pick everything. It's not cheap, but again, it is a vision of maybe where we want to take the district, and I think it's always good to have that forward planning and forward vision. Again, the con will be the cost, and so if you look at the current situation with school funding and the concern that we have around that, the community will have to determine if that's something they want to do, but I do feel that people might not have an appetite for that. But it's not anything that we have to decide today or tomorrow. It's something that we can just keep forward, keep looking, and we can tweak it, right? It's not like it's necessarily set in stone. So I think it's important to have that vision and to have a true north and to just keep focused on that. And then again, it will be up to the community.
Mr. Chase.
Well-run organizations know where they want to go. Strategic planning and master planning helps to provide alignment and accountability. I served on the committee for the master planning process with other community leaders and was involved in the discussions about what was going to work, what wasn't, what did the district need, where were the pain points, where was there a safety concern, where was there traffic flow issues, what services are we not providing currently that we need to, and we took a deep dive into our infrastructure on this campus that we sit tonight. Important decisions have already come out of this that have basically no cost associated with them, and that the community and that committee has decided they would like to keep this building and that this middle school would stay online for the coming decades. That's an important decision that can help align where the district chooses to make investments in classrooms and programming. The district has also determined, and that committee has determined preliminarily, that the high school also stays where it is. It's not going to change. You see so many times where the high school becomes the new middle school and a new high school is built or a new building. That's nowhere on the horizon. This process has helped really grab that community sentiment, and there was really broad agreement on those pieces. Other pieces with that become where things are, where assets are. The stadium would stay where it is. As others have said, the con of this is it's a big project and a lot of cost. I don't agree with the initial phasing that was proposed, but this is all very preliminary, just to start to talk things out, how things could go forward. I think there's a lot of great things in the plan, and I think it also allows us to then ask for money from others that might want to support our schools and don't know where they can do that. With this kind of a planning process, we have a plan now. We can look and see where things are going to go. The community can be rest assured that the district is moving in one direction and utilizing the dollars responsibly and being held accountable for it.
Thank you. For the next question, Mrs. Abu-Mitri, you will be asked to provide the first response. How does a public school stay competitive in today's environment of homeschooling, vouchers, and decreased state funding?
I will preface this by saying I think competition is actually a good thing. School funding in Ohio is one of the biggest challenges districts face because so much of it relies on local property taxes. That creates pressure on young families building their future here and on longtime residents who've supported our school for decades. And when state mandates come without the dollars to pay for them, communities like ours can end up facing levy conversations sooner than we should. The challenge isn't mismanagement, it's keeping funding and expectations aligned. That's where accountability matters. If state dollars are going to follow students, then every school, public, private, or otherwise, must be held to the same level of transparency. Families deserve to know where money is going, and taxpayers deserve a fair playing field. At the same time, our district must model the same transparency here at home. Every dollar should be communicated in clear, plain language because trust grows from clarity. We also can't ignore levy fatigue. That's why I believe in funding approaches that balance stability for classrooms with accountability for taxpayers. Our community deserves both. Schools that can plan with confidence and residents who know their investment is managed with care. And at the state level, I'll continue pressing for funding formulas that don't penalize fiscally responsible districts like ours. At the end of the day, excellence shouldn't depend on your zip code, and funding shouldn't depend on how many times you can pass a levy. My commitment is simple, and it would be to sustain excellence, demand accountability, and respect the people who do make BBH strong.
Ms. Cantonese?
Right now, the playing field is a little unequal between public and some of the private schools, as they don't necessarily have to be quite as transparent as public schools do. So for public schools, that is more of a burden as far as making sure public records are saved and they're shared. So the playing field to me is not equal. That being said, I think that there's some opportunities that we have as far as strengthening community partnerships. We're working with CVCC, marketing ourselves as far as making sure that people understand who are homeschooling or sending to other schools that this is an excellent district as a public school, and I would contend that we can go up against any school that's around here. Technology innovation, we can offer things that maybe some of the other schools can't do. And then we need to look for business sponsorships. So as we look at, maybe upgrades to fields or something like that, can we get grants? Can we get some local business sponsorships? But I would like to see the playing field leveled a little bit more, but given that, I do think we have some opportunity to really market ourselves and show the community that we can compete with anybody.
Mr. Chase?
Yeah, so sometimes it feels like we're playing the game with different rules for different people, and that makes it difficult. For somebody that's a big supporter of public schools as I am, I would like to see us compete with anybody, and I think we can. It's difficult when state mandates become unfunded and only apply to the public schools. I think this district has shown the willingness to be transparent and to go above and beyond about making sure everything is available. Some of that's the law. Public schools are required to do these things that aren't required of other schools that are also receiving taxpayer money. So it makes that difficult to start with. But I think where we win this one every time is the exceptional opportunities and outcomes that we're offering in our district. And we see this when kids come and they've been in a private school setting or another school setting, and they've a homeschool setting, and they've come back into our district to take advantage of the opportunities that we have here. Whether it's the numerous athletic programs that we have, whether it's the AP classes, we offer things here that many private schools and homeschooling cannot offer. And that's something to be proud of, and that's something that we compete with and will continue to compete with. That's something I think we bring to the table and we should be proud of, and that's how we can compete in this unequal game in many ways, how we can ensure that people are choosing to come into our district and are proud of the results that we're achieving.
And Mrs. Kwiatkowski.
Okay, so the question is, how does a public school stay competitive in today's environment with homeschooling and vouchers and decreased state funding? So if you've watched board meetings at all, you will hear our superintendent say he has no problem competing with anyone. And you will find that the board feels the same way, and we back that up. I'm very proud of the board and how we have kind of managed through state mandates and everything that is coming at the district. We believe strongly in transparency. I've heard that word a lot tonight. If you haven't come to a board meeting, if you haven't attended, if you haven't plugged in, please do. We are incredibly transparent with everything that we are doing. I would back that up a million times over. We're not scared to compete, but it's not even so much about competition. It's about staying true to who BBH is. Our motto is, with the strategic plan, is to protect the banner of the BBH CSD, and we must. We must stay who we are and compete to the best of our ability. This is a district that has remained excellent for years upon years upon years through, and I'm losing my words, I apologize. We just continue to perform and try and get better in every way. I don't know that anyone understands, unless you work in education, how hard it is to beat your excellence year after year, to become more excellent than the excellence that you just demonstrated the year before. It's unbelievable what we do, and we have to continue to communicate that and shout out our successes. And I thank Jeff Harrison for making board meetings a time when we shout out that excellence and identify all the good that BBH is.
Well, my cheat sheet says we're at question 13, which means we are down to our final question of the evening, and the first response will come from Ms. Catanese. Is there anything different you would implement regarding school security regarding the recent events?
First, I want to point out what we have. The wearable panic button, which has been the newest addition, which is basically, looks like a credit card that all the staff and teachers and administration wear. And there's a level 1 and there's a level 2. Level 1 is a medical emergency or a fight, and they can communicate that out. The second level is when we have to do something serious like a lockdown. It also contacts the authorities. That's been the latest edition, which I think is fantastic. I've talked with teachers, they love it. The second thing is we have school resource officers, right? So we have big wall and dare in the elementary school, so it's hard to miss where the officer is. But we, also have a great relationship with local law enforcement. There's emergency and safety protocols and training. Obviously, we do the drills. There's the visitor access and control is much different than when my oldest was in school. Things are so much more locked down. If you look at the elementary school, that thing is built like a fortress, right? And then there's emergency communication, so texting that we get that we never used to get. So to me, it's so much improved than what we had before. One of the things I would like to see is some improved lighting on the campus. The middle school has always really kind of driven me crazy where it's just so dark. And so, I have a kid who comes in at night, and so that would be something that I would like to see improved.
Mr. Chase.
So over the last decade, the district has made numerous investments, in security and safety on our campuses. This is something that, unfortunately is front and center for parents and community with what is going on in our society. I think the school board has taken it very seriously. They've dedicated permanent improvement dollars to improving lobbies, to improving camera systems, to improving the strategic systems, the buttons that the teachers can push to lock down the building or summon help for an emergency in a classroom. All of this goes along with things that we're required to do. The drills that go on for students and in the buildings and how we respond to different types of activities or threats that might be present. We've seen the visitor access. When I started my daughter was at Hilton, I can remember going into the lobby and just signing my name and getting a little yellow tag, and it was a different time. And now, the building, you've got to press a button. You can't open the door at our elementary or any of our buildings. And you have to scan your ID, and it's doing a light background check on your ID to see if your name has anything with it. So our volunteers require background checks. So we're doing all these things that are improved to improve the safety and security of our children and our buildings. There's always more. The amount of communication that we get is much improved from when a drill happens, an email comes out or a text message comes out after it's completed, or if there's an event on campus. I think that's a responsible way to communicate with parents and community members about what is going on in our buildings, but also without creating a panic situation. So I think that's a responsible approach, and I appreciate the efforts the district has made and will continue to make to ensure the safety of our children.
Mrs. Kwiatkowski.
So I'm going to read directly from our strategic plan, if you'll allow me. We value school safety and security in protocol, thought, and action to create a welcoming school environment. Safety is a priority at BBHCSD. You've heard the other candidates speak. We've allocated dollars to it. We try to put up any barrier that we can for entry into our buildings. We have a $45 million state-of-the-art elementary. It has locked door upon locked door upon locked door, as do our middle and high schools. We have bullet-resistant, I want to make sure I said it right, bullet-resistant film at all the schools, upon entry. Our biggest safety issue, actually, probably for BHCSD, is our traffic issue. I've mentioned that a couple times, but that seems to be where sometimes, with kids zipping on and out, that tends to be where I hear we have safety issues. If there's anything that I would change, I think the community needs to understand that we have a safety and security committee. It involves both cities, emergency response teams, police officers. Yes, we have the SROs in the building, but we actually have the greater community, both communities participating in that. They plan the drills. There is a protocol, procedure, process for everything when it comes to a crisis in our district. The thing that I would change is I think we might need to do a little bit more work with students when there is a lockdown or the drill, if we're talking about recent events, and understanding they need to understand what the process and procedure is maybe a little bit more, and whom they look to, what steps they need to take, so that they don't panic and that they have a sense of empowerment, and that they are safe and we are going to keep them safe, and that everything will be okay.
And Mrs. Abu-Mitri.
I'm going to echo what everyone else already said, but BBH already has incredibly strong security systems, from resource officers to technology to secure buildings. But true safety is bigger than locks and cameras. It's about creating a culture students actually want to be a part of. one they value enough to protect themselves. We already have supports in place for students, but what often gets overlooked is the culture being shaped through phones and the internet. That's where much of today's comparisons, bullying, and disrespect begins. And while schools can't control every app or screen, we can create an environment that points students towards something more meaningful. But it can't fall on schools alone. It takes commitment from parents, families, and the wider community to reinforce those same values so students experience consistency at home, online, and in the classroom. Bullying or harassment isn't just kids being kids. It chips away at confidence, belonging, and the sense of pride in being part of this district. That's why expectations have to be clear and consequences have to be real. Students should know that respect is not optional here, and that when harm is done, making it right is a part of learning too. At the same time, we need to raise up the positive. When kids see that respect, kindness, and responsibility are noticed and celebrated, they start to believe those behaviors are worth owning. Security isn't just about stopping threats. It's about building a culture where students protect the value of their own community because they are proud to be a part of it.
Thank you. Now that we have finished the formal Q&A, each candidate will have an opportunity to make a closing statement. We'll start with Mr. Chase.
So I want to start by thanking the community for paying attention to this election, for submitting questions and learning about the choices that you have. Your vote matters in this election, and it's important that we make decisions that help move the district in a direction that you're comfortable with and that does service to our children. Forums like this one are important for the community to make these informed decisions. And so I thank, again, the PSO and the volunteers and our moderator and everybody for being here tonight, and those that will listen online. I didn't just get involved in our schools for this election. I've been involved in our schools since I moved to Brecksville-Broadview Heights with my family almost 10 years ago. I've been involved with the PSOs in our building as a volunteer. I've been involved in the classroom. I've been involved with field trips. Some of my favorite memories are at Hilton Elementary when and that school allowed you to have lunch with your student. And I would go when we were new in the district and have lunch with my daughter. And it was one of the great memories that I have of her BBH CSD career starting there. Since then, I've gone on to become involved much more with the facility planning process and the building of the new elementary school, with the master planning process that's gone on currently. And I serve on the Brecksville-Broadview Heights Schools Foundation as a trustee, which is really its sole purpose is to give grants to teachers and to give students scholarships and to support our schools and to support our teachers and our students. I've got proven experience as an operations, strategy, as a manager and a leader, and I'm a parent of 2 students that are in the middle school and the high school currently. So I know our schools, I know our students, I know our teachers, I know the great things that are going on. I know there's things that we can fix. I know there's things that we have to continuously improve. I appreciate your time this evening, and I appreciate your consideration when you choose your vote. Thank you.
Mrs. Kwiatkowski.
I would like to kind of close with thanking the PSO for holding this event every time. You guys do an amazing job. It's very well run. It's a great opportunity for the community to hear from us and get an idea of who you want to select for your Board of Education. So thank you to the PSO. I want to thank my fellow board members. I want to thank Mr. Jeff Harrison and Mr. Craig Yanalos for being absolutely fantastic to work with. I have thoroughly enjoyed the work of the board. I want to continue to do it. I want to continue to represent you and what your needs are from the community. I am absolutely committed to continuing to listen, to collaborate, to maintain and grow our excellence, and understand that our schools are producing the best of us and that the schools are not a political battleground. I am committed to us just continuing to grow in our excellence. I feel like I'm losing my words again, so I apologize. Maybe I should wrap it up here.
Mrs. Abu-Mitri?
Firstly, I'd like to thank everyone for coming this evening and for the PSO for hosting. I came into this race not as someone looking for a stepping stone, but as a parent with 4 children and nearly 2 decades invested in this district. My role on this board will never be to rubber stamp decisions or to chase politics. It will be to bring honesty, accountability, and the voice of families into every conversation. This campaign for me is personal. It's about protecting the kind of education my children and yours deserve. It's about making sure our district remains not only excellent on paper, but a place where students feel safe, supported, and proud to belong. What I bring to this board is a unique combination: the precision and discipline of a businesswoman, the problem-solving instincts of someone who has navigated challenges her whole career, and the creative energy of an artist who sees possibilities where others see obstacles. That's the energy I want to pour into BBH, because our schools deserve leaders who don't just manage, but they inspire. At the end of the day, I'm a parent who cares deeply, and when you care this deeply, you fight for excellence, you demand transparency, and you build bridges where others build walls. That's the commitment I bring, and I would be honored to serve. Thank you.
And Ms. Catanese?
Thank you to the members of the PSO for sponsoring and organizing this very important event. Thank you to the high school students who kept us pretty much on time and moving along. Hope you guys get extra credit. I love to see our students getting involved, so thank you for that. Thank you to my fellow candidates for participating in this great forum, and thank you to the parents and community here tonight or watching the live stream or recorded version. The support and dedication of the community is vital to the success of our school district. I realize this might not be a big election year. However, voting for the right candidates for your school board is critical, whether or not you have children or grandchildren in the district. The school board has considerable responsibility for implementing statutory requirements, listening to the community, and ensuring transparency and fiscal responsibility. This is a responsibility that is never to be taken lightly. My dedication to the schools will last far beyond having my children attend here. My commitment will be to the future generation of Bs for many years to come. I have the work experience, problem solving, and team building skills to be a highly effective school board member. I will work hard and listen to all families and ensure they have the same wonderful experience that my children had. Please reach out to me with any questions or concerns you have, or just to share your common love of our district. You can reach me through my website, adriaforbbh.com, or on Facebook, Adria Catanese for BBH School Board. Also, please encourage your friends and neighbors to learn all about all of the candidates, and please vote. Thank you again for this opportunity. I hope to earn your vote and serve our schools and community.
Thank you. And this concludes tonight's event. I would like to thank all 4 school board members for taking their time to address the community. On behalf of the PSO, I would also like to thank all in the audience who attended, whether here in person or through the live stream, demonstrating your commitment to keeping our community and school system strong and vibrant. We hope that this event helped you learn more about the candidates' positions on important issues, and that what you heard tonight will help you make an informed decision on November 4th. A recording of the evening will be publicly made available by the PSO, I believe on the PSO's website. Thanks, and have a good evening.